It's Wellness Wednesdays. It's Wellness Wednesdays, and I am overlit because I've got a website queued up on on my monitor here. We are going to continue talking about tie-ins to the Healthy Conflict workshop that's happening at the end of the month, and that's why I'm going to promote that. That's why the thing's up, so I will get that and then jump back. So Healthy Conflict Workshop. This is the ticket leap page. Link in the description box. Sunday, June 25th at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Tickets are limited to 20 people. Now that we got 22 people last time. So there's no huge rush. I capped the tickets this time because it got a little big in some of the breakout sessions, so I want to make them smaller. But please join us. Tickets again are $10. And it's a 45-minute presentation on healthy conflict. Then we do a Q&A, so you can ask questions of me, and then it breaks out into different sessions with the bubbleheads. If you listen to the It's Not Therapy podcast tomorrow, we're doing another roundtable. Moi couldn't make it. He will be at the workshop. But that gives you a sense of who they are. And it was a good time last time. Learned some lessons. One of the things was an itinerary, like what the breakdown was. So if you go to the About page, this time, there's a little set of 5 bullet points about what we're going to be doing this time. So people like to prepare. Oh, you neurodivergent folks. This came up. I just want people to know. I say neurodivergent not to be politically correct. I say neurodivergent to be inclusive, because by neurodivergent, I mean autism, ADHD, OCD, what used to be called PDD-NOS. Now it's part of the autism spectrum, but it's not quite. And then people like me with weird shit like synesthesia. Our brains don't work the same. So, that an itinerary so people can prepare for a workshop caught me off guard. But then I went, right. They want to be able to practice because it's a group setting. There we go. Not that hard. And I want to talk about something that I find really affects autistic people and people with ADHD, because people in those groups are very... Rejection sucks for everyone, but people in those categories, they have a bad reaction. They get hurt once, and it doesn't just heal with time. It takes active intervention and investment to get them to process that rejection. And I hear a lot about ghosting. And part of the Healthy Conflict panel is going to talk about why that happens and why that is not something you have to lose sleep at night over, thinking, what did I do? Ghosting is 100% the other person deciding they didn't want to have the fight for whatever reason, except in cases of abuse. I don't consider it ghosting when it's abuse. Talk more about that later. I want to talk about that rejection. That you're friends with someone, everything seems to be going well, and suddenly you're not friends. And it seemed like a really small fight, but then they're gone. This demolishes people. And it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. And yet, like, yes, I've, you know, dealt with those, but it can be just a friendship. And one day it's just gone. And that can be really earth shattering. If you know, this is something you want to unpack in private, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone working through this stuff who can use it but can't afford it, Ko-fi.com/LeannaK. I have a lot of these. And some people, everybody downplays it. Oh, you know, it wasn't violent or anything like that. As somebody, you know, I grew up rough. So somebody who is subjected to violence where I couldn't fight back, somebody who contributed violence when I did fight and fight back, those haven't lasted nearly as long as the social and emotional abuse. And that abandonment is so visceral because it's impossible to get traditional closure when you've been ghosted, when you've just been abandoned, when someone's like, I'm done without warning. And the Healthy Conflict Panel is going to teach people how not to do that to other people. So someone has absolutely no excuse to do it to you. If you set rules of engagement for conflicts, then it's the same rules for everybody. And people know that just dropping someone and not having a conversation about why that's wrong. And obviously, you may have noticed with my various lines of work, I have people blowing up on me a lot. I get blocked. Sometimes I wear the block as a badge of pride, but I block very, very hesitantly, you know, unless it's a turf. Now, why? Why unless it's a turf? Because there's no point if it's a turf or a gender critical. Now, there is a difference. This is a shining example of when to have the fight and when to not have the fight. There is a difference between somebody who doesn't get it and someone who is saying things that aren't true. And even when evidence is presented to them that they are talking out their ass, they continue to repeat the thing that isn't true. Now they knowingly are repeating a falsehood. Very different things. And, you know, when it's just a casual person on Twitter. Now, casual, I should catch myself there, because there have been people who have been very, very upset that I blocked them on Twitter. And this is why I've been really hesitant to block, you know, until Elon took over. And now we have to block more. But I would rather run up one side of somebody and down the other than block them. Because that's continuing to give them a chance. And it was one of those things. It's like, this is a fascinating science experiment. One of these, the Clearly Implied Club. You know how I feel about clearly implied. There's no such thing. When you clearly implied comes out of your mouth, catch yourself, because there's no this. If it is implied, it is not clear. Explicit is clear. You know, the argument has to show its boobs to be clear. Just explicit, right? If you're implying nipples, right? Like, that's just a mnemonic. But this one guy kept saying, it was bizarre. He was claiming that the Hollywood Reporter said the entire country of China was racist against black people over The Little Mermaid. And I kept saying that wasn't my point, because I put up a thing about, Little Mermaid flops in China because Chinese state media put out we don't like that she's black thing. This isn't racism. This is, of course, when a state affiliated Chinese media outlet puts something out, people have to talk as if they agree, even if they don't. But they don't agree. Of course, it's not the whole country. Some people saw the movie anyway. It made something like over $600,000 in China, which they were hoping for more, but they probably knew. This is an issue in China. But this guy said, the Hollywood Reporter, and it claimed that all Chinese people were racist. And I'm like, show me. Well, they clearly implied it. Show me. And I posted, and this guy just spun out. And, just started dropping things. And I was like, what's going on here? And then they used the word tough instead of though. I said, is English your first language? No. I was this close to blocking that guy. Now, he was still way off the chain. But maybe there's hope. I set that rule for myself because I know how painful being cut off is. I know how painful ghosting is. I have had members of my own, blood family cut me off over conflicts that didn't even directly involve either of us. They were just so afraid of conflict that they didn't want to cross the other person, so they cut me off. And it hurts. It's not fair. And so people always know why I'm mad at them, and they always know what they did. They might not accept it, but I will be very clear. And usually it comes down to people continuing to repeat false statements about me. They love to say, you can't handle a disagreement. It's like, what you're saying about me is not true. I'd like you to stop this particular assertion, please. I'd like you to stop saying I'm lying. I'm not. I know I'm not. You can't prove it because I'm not doing it. Stop saying I'm lying. Just as an example. If they do, okay. If they don't, bad faith. But they know what they did. And I find that if you do that with people, it hurts a lot less when people ghost you. And I have a reputation for being not a team player, too difficult, too aggressive. And you know what? Yeah, maybe sometimes I am. You know what else? I would rather err on the side of too aggressive, but have people know that if I don't say there's a problem, there's no problem. There is nothing more exhausting than having to constantly worry if someone is mad at you. And the number of times people will send me this really sheepish DM or this really sheepish message, and they'll be talking about something that happened months before. It was like social media sparring. Usually when I have to smack someone down on Twitch, because Twitch is a particular thing where people start getting upset in chat. Somebody doesn't take the hint. People are saying, can we change the subject? Please, please stop. And I have to be fire-breathing dragon on the motherfucker because they ain't paying attention. these rules are for your safety and comfort. Have a nice flight. Um, and I think that's why I like Mad Dog Majima. Whatever you do, commit 120%, right? Hard hat. Um, but I would rather people think I'm a complete ball breaker, because I am sometimes. But people don't have to worry I'm mad at them. Because people will say this thing, and I vaguely remember. And I've said them, to be completely honest, dude, because everybody's a dude at that moment. If I drop dude, that's chill me. That's cat on their back in the sunbeam me. When I'm like, dude, like my dude, I'm chill. People get that wrong all the time. When I start calling someone sir, that's the challenge threshold. When I get polite. But yeah, it's like, dude, I honestly do. I have only the vaguest memory of this. It's really not that important. Sorry if it seemed rough. I'm good if you are. And it's done. If I do remember it on the rare occasions, like, oh yeah, you were a dick. But I'll tell them. It won't be that passive aggressive. Yes, okay, I'm sorry too, but you're really not sorry and you're holding a grudge. I do not do that. Never, ever, 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 ever. Always that unpopular, but I stand by it. People know if I'm mad at them, so if I don't say I'm mad at you, I'm not mad at you. You can relax. Because life's too short to worry about that crap. And on the flip side, if someone's walking around holding a grudge, that is not my problem. That is theirs. And this came from really toxic environments. Sci-fi, fantasy, and anime conventions are the worst for this shit. That people will not have direct conversations with you. They'll start rumors and tell someone to tell you that you're banned. I found out I was replaced in a position from a fairly large local anime con here. I was doing steampunk fashion shows there. And I had to take a year off because of the stalker. It just, I said I can't concentrate if you don't, if you don't ban this person, I have to step back. It's just, she's following me places. They wouldn't ban her. Okay, I asked to step back for a year. I found out they replaced me because someone announced that they were taking over, and they sent me a message saying, hey, I'm going to do my best. I'm like, what are you talking about? The poor fucking guy had no idea. They totally misled him. That is fucking dirty shit. I will never. I'm shadow banned from the place because one of the women who runs it hates sexy cosplayers. So they don't care if we get they didn't care that I was doing art modeling in I was wearing the Leia bikini because you can get the back on that sucker and back the musculature of the back. So I was doing, was it the 5 or the 15? I don't remember. There's timed poses and you do more like you want to let them practice foreshortening, so you arrange your hands, but on the 15 you really have to like just go limp noodle. And this guy who everybody knew had a foot fetish, including the feet of 9-year-olds, and he came into the room, sat down, no sketch pad. I could hear him breathing from 4 rows back. And I didn't report it. Another staff member, but I got blackballed for that because I made trouble. Fuck them. You know, that's one of those things that's my Kiryu-chan switch in my head with another Majima from Yakuza. You know, because he was tortured so much that he went crazy. But what it really is a post-fucks mode where I can't feel bad about this anymore. See ya. And you do have to really go all in on that mindset, which is why the character is so brilliant. And that's why everything gets funny after a while for me. And that for me, that was the result of so many indignities. I just couldn't care anymore. You're gonna throw me out, throw me the fuck out, whatever. It's happened so many times. You know, alt-right figures have come after me. Left-wing nepotism hires have come after me and got me branded a fucking racist and shit. Like, what the fuck ever. Wee! You know, I got the open yellow snakeskin jacket, walking down the street, hard hat, Majima style. Like, yeah. It's a cope. It was a cope at first. Now it is just I don't care. That's the goal you want to get to. I do not expect people who, you know, make friends slowly, bond really intensely, and then lost them to get there in 2 easy steps. I am like that is the thing. I treasure my it's this one client who tears his friends like that. You know how it's S is the top in Japanese games, so it's like S tier, A tier, B tier, you know, friends. You know, it and we have in common this client and I, it takes a lot for people to get above a B. Even B for me. I am good with having a lot of friendly acquaintances and a relative few friends. But you know, I want to put the time into the relationships I do have. And it's tough when you work the hours that I do and have chronic health conditions. And so whenever I catch a new client that, you know, they're working through a breakup they can't get over, or they lost all their friends group in one fell swoop, those I have to control my anger on those, because I know that means it was a toxic environment, but you know, it's going to take time for them to get there. You can't shortcut that. And these abandonment cases are so heartbreaking and angering, because when you listen to them as a, you know, a third party who was not involved, who's just, you know, I'm a professional listener. I should put that on a business card, professional listener, because it's true. Interviewing is listening, and anyway. I'm listening. It seems so clear to me that this was a toxic environment or a low-key abusive relationship. Maybe not so low-key. But the person didn't see it. And so now they're distraught. And you can't tell them they're better off. You have to very slowly point out little bits here and there. You know? And this, you know, people tell me stories of, and yes, there's two sides to everything. But these people are telling me the truth. This is what they understand. And what that means is that a healthy, productive conflict was not had. Boundaries were not effectively set. They don't know what caused the cord to break. And that will never happen with me. There have been a few rare cases where it is not worked out between either corporate clients are a whole different beast, but there have been jobs there that I've had to refuse, and you have to set your ducks in a row really carefully there, because you don't want to get labeled as a diva or a problem, and the bar is really low because they want people who will take abuse. So you really have to set up like, look, I am not available Monday, Wednesday. I am not available Wednesdays and Thursdays. Those are my private client days. We can meet any other day of the weekdays. So we can meet Monday, Tuesday, Friday, no problem. They book a meeting on Wednesday. I can't do it. Well, this is when we can do it. Okay, but I told you I can't. And they get pissed off, but I can't be two places at once. And this is a temporary gig. This is my ongoing thing, 2 days a week. Sorry, work around it. If people agree and then change it on you and don't own that, that's a problem. And that's a them problem. That's not a you problem. You'll see stuff like that in these things where people end up ghosting. The other thing you'll notice is a certain lack of emotional accountability. So there will be a conflict, and someone will say some mealy-mouthed thing like, I know you've done nothing wrong here, but I don't think this is going to work out. Or something. Not even that direct. I don't remember what the wording is. It's like, all right, this is the push-pull dynamic that comes from codependencies. And understanding codependencies makes you sleep a lot better at night. But when somebody starts dropping those breadcrumbs that they expect me to chase them, this is when they get Kratos. But it's the Ragnarok Kratos. It's the more mellow Kratos. Like, okay, look. If you tell me you're done, I will not contact you again. You are welcome to contact me, but I cannot contact you because technically that's harassment. You've told me you want no contact. I have to honor that. Do you understand? Yes, I just need time. Okay, so to summarize, I want to be clear. I am very happy to talk to you again. Take all the time you want. I'm here, but I'm not, you know where I am, but I will not be contacting you because you've said you want to be left alone. Is that correct? Yes. Sometimes a person comes back, sometimes they don't. But I have made it very clear what my understanding is. So they can't, if they try to pull bullshit later on, they do it knowing full well they're fudging. And 9 times out of 10 in a ghost, that's what's going on. People aren't emotionally accountable. Part of them wants to be chased because they think that makes them important and special. They think that's going to make them feel important and special. But what it actually makes them feel is freaked out. And so you get accused of being a creepy stalker. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't play that game. Ever. Ever. I say this as somebody who, you guys have seen The Crazy Stalker. She managed to convince a cop that it was me coming after her. And then, of course, when the cop realizes she fucked up, it was a female cop, then she got in my face. Cops are people too. Not all of them are great people, but yeah. But for men, it's a lot harder, right? If you've got one of those personalities and she pulls her little whimper whine on a cop, you could be facing charges. Don't chase. If it's not important enough for them to stay and have an adult conversation, then it's not important enough. Do not risk that. And that's hard, but that's a boundary. If you're unable to not chase people like that, there might be some early childhood neglect issues or something that happened earlier to that relationship, because you're primed for that stuff. Parents who are addicts, a lot of fighting in the home, anything that makes you feel neglected or abandoned will create that urge. I had to work through it. It's hard, but it's worthwhile, because somebody choosing to cut you off is their choice. And if there are some tangible things you can see you did wrong, like if somebody says, this is what you did, you lied to me all these times, I gave you all these chances and you lied to me again, I can't do this anymore. Well, that's pretty cut and dry that you got some stuff to work on, right? But if you don't actually know what you did, it's a cliche, but sometimes they're true. You're probably better off without that person. Because at the end of it, what you did was probably not that much. They have their own demons and their own struggles, and you were just collateral damage in their fight against themselves. So we're going to teach you how not to be that person in the Healthy Conflict Workshop. Sunday, June 25th, 2023 at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Link in the description box below. All the information is on the info tab. The about tab. It's online, in case people are wondering. And hope to see you there. I'll do the help support this channel too. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/Leanna K. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use but can't afford it. Coffee.com/Leanna K. Oh yeah, tickets are limited to 20 spaces, because I want to do a couple of ticket giveaways too. So thanks for watching and be well.